After that, the dog picture came up, got assigned to a flight, and they said, you can bring your family and take pictures. I'm like, well, my family's in Virginia. And I said, can I bring my dogs? I said, well, dogs aren't allowed on center, you know, so I had to sneak my dogs in. Had like a jar of milk bones, and they were eating the bones, and everything was great until the bones ran out, and they started barking, the security guard came, but we got the picture. So I took this picture before my first flight, STS-122, went to the International Space Station. My job, because I couldn't train in the pool anymore, was to do robotics. And so I was going to do the robotic arm and install the Columbus laboratory to the International Space Station. And Langley had designed some inspection techniques for looking at these tiles that were damaged on the Columbia accident, so that we could view an entire scan of the entire underbelly, the nose cap, and everything, all the wings, so we'd be safe. And so I think about the people that worked on that project, the people that helped keep us safe as astronauts in space. And then coming up on the space station, this is what it looked like before we got there. My job was to take this module out of the payload bay. This was the European Space Agency's laboratory. So before I got the mission, I was in mission control, and there were about 10 German flight controllers in there. And they said, we hear you're going to install the Columbus laboratory. And they're high-fiving me and chest-bumping me. And this was a really joyous moment. As I'm walking out of the room, this one guy has got his arms crossed. He looks at me and says, Mr. Melvin, we've been waiting 10 years. Don't screw it up. So as I'm taking this out of the payload bay, installing it to the station, the motion starts stalling out just a little bit. It's these 4 ready to latch indicators that are spring-loaded that are pushing a little bit on the module as it's getting closer. And the motion stops, and in the back of my mind, this don't screw it up. One little pull. Peggy Whitson was the commander. She said, pull just a little bit more, and now it's installed to the space station. So this is going to be this home for European astronauts and other astronauts. And after we did this marvelous feat, Peggy, who's up in space now, invited us over to dinner in the Russian segment. Peggy said, you guys bring the rehydrated vegetables, we'll have the meat. So we float over with this bag of vegetables, and we kind of float around the table. There are people we used to fight against that we are breaking bread with at 17,500 miles per hour, going around the planet every 90 minutes, seeing a sunrise and a sunset every 45 minutes. I think about that meal. Sade is playing through the speakers. It's like smooth operators playing. And they're like doing a little dance, floating food to each other's mouths. But it was this moment, another transformative moment. Looking down at our respective hometowns, flying over Virginia, and then soon after that over Paris and over Russia, and connecting back around the planet with people that we used to fight against. This space program brings people together through a language of technology and engineering and art and music and culture. It's something that fuels us as a civilization. So we finished the meal to get back to work, and then this is what the station looked like as we were flying around it, going home. We had built this outpost to house Muslim astronauts, to house the first female commander, to house people that we used to fight against. And then I came home, and I connected with Pharrell Williams, who's from Virginia Beach. And I connected with Quincy Jones, who when I was in space said, he interviewed me and he said, Leland, you know that math and music are the only 2 true absolutes that use both the right and left side of your brain. So if you know math, you know music. If you know music, you know math. And when we teach STEM, we gotta add the A to make sure that kids know that it's creativity, it's ingenuity, it's music, it's all these things combined. And I call this the old school, new school picture, like the new school, old school, old school. There's Buzz and Quincy and Pharrell and Leland. But this was a powerful moment. And then I flew again in 2009. and this was another transformative moment. This is Atlantis about to take off from Kennedy Space Center. There's a little bit of sound on this, if you could give me a little sound. Or not? Oh, I think I can go that.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. And liftoff of Space Shuttle Atlantis on a mission to build and resupply.
So that's me there putting a mirror up to the air. I can actually see out of the overhead window as we do the rotation. And I can see where the plume is connecting to the ground, where my family is sitting. My family and friends are sitting down there. Many of you from Langley were there watching us hurtle off to the cosmos. And I felt connected with all of you as we went up there. The support, the belief, the love, the care, the hard work to make sure that everything was going to be safe and secure. We got to space, the external tank got jettisoned, and now we're floating and working in microgravity. We installed 2 pallets for spare parts from the space station once the shuttle retired. And we did this with, again, people from all around the planet working together as a team. ELC-1 and ELC-2 were installed, and then it was time for us to do a little bit more robotics. This is Charlie Hobart, the commander, Bobby Satcher, Jeff Williams, and we're all just working on the robotics workstation, doing our jobs. And you know, in space you work hard, but you also, you play hard, right? Boom! That was the hit. I took the hit for the guys, you know? And then you transfer things with your legs as you move things around in the space station. We have Comrade here, who's we've gone up not too often now, doing the 0G, one hand, look mom, no hands maneuver. And then you have the Russian night where we had this meal again over on the Russian segment, having a great time with our Russian colleagues. Nicole Stott was in space. We brought her back home. She was there for 4 months. So we were her ride home. And again, just another moment of sheer joy, pleasure, floating food to your mouth, breaking bread, doing all these things. And I called down to the ground and I said, how much should transfer item 914 weigh? And they said, you asked Nicole that. We're not going to tell you what she should weigh. We transferred her back. The 2 commanders are saying goodbye. I'm just playing with my water and M&Ms and doing stupid astronaut tricks. And it was an incredible time. And I almost choked to death on that, by the way. 2.5 G's coming home. You're feeling the Earth getting back in your system. This orb, you know, pulling you down again. Heads up display. We're coming back home to Kennedy Space Center. And this was an incredible time because I knew this was probably going to be my last mission. Because I wouldn't be able to, you know, fly and do EVAs, which would be required to do a long duration mission. So we came home to Kennedy, and it was just a glorious moment. And so that was it. Looking at the planet from that vantage point is just simply stunning. You look at the Middle East and you think about all the unrest that's going there, but from space it's just a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful place. The Caribbean, Rigel Island, and these things in the ocean that just show you depth and color and sensation. The Andes Mountains and this thin blue line that keeps us alive as a civilization. And here's Lynchburg. So we're down here somewhere, I think, in the Atlantic seaboard, East Coast, and the cities at night are the only way we can identify where humans have been. It's just stunning and beautiful. And then I hung on my space boots, worked in NASA education for about 4 or 5 years, and I saw these 3 questions as we help inspire our next generation. How to prepare students for jobs they can imagine, how to ensure all students can meet the level of rigor, and how to build experiences, learning experiences that spark passion. The internships, the outreach, the things that we do as a community are the things that fuel our kids' imaginations and help them believe in themselves that they will be the next generation of explorers. I think about equality doesn't mean justice. When I see these 3 kids here trying to see the game, that's equality. Justice is when everyone has what they need to be successful. And then Katie Coleman was in space while we talked to young girls in Harlem, New York, at Donna Karen's studio, trying to inspire them to look past their surroundings of poverty and all these ills, so that they can be inspired and do what they want to do with that inspiration. And then my friend Beth Nielsen Chapman, I think she's up there, she played this beautiful music tonight. We had a chance to do some work in education down in Vanderbilt in Nashville, where we were inspiring kids and families with some of the Mighty Sky work that they did. And I had a chance to do a little spoken word with Beth as she was playing, but it was incredible. And that's why the arts are so important. Mars one day will be there. It'll be the people in this room that help get us there. And I think about my education team that was here at Langley before I retired. They were helping, again, move this message forward. And then I think about Katherine Johnson, who I saw this morning, who has transformed so many minds to let them know that they can be like her with a pencil and a piece of paper to help change our universe. So, 100 years NASA Langley. I'm proud to be part of that storied legacy, and I'm proud to be part of that incredible future. Thank you so much, and Godspeed.